Okay, so if you remember from the absolute value video that you probably just watched, when we had an absolute value equation, it had something called a vertex, and that was where that V came to a point, right? So parabolas are a U shape, and they have a vertex also. That's either like the lowest point or the highest point. And again, let's remember, so let's look at an example of a parabola here. So y equals x minus 1 squared plus 3. Now, if you think back to an absolute value equation, y equals absolute value of x minus 1 plus 3, remember that we said that you find the vertex by letting this equal 0, right? That's the x value of the vertex. And this number here is the y value of the vertex. So x equals 1 would be the x value of the vertex, and y equals 3 would be the y value of the vertex. Well, it turns out that the exact same thing is true for a parabola. In a parabola, the value that makes this equal to 0, so in this case x equals 1, and this value here, how much we move up or down, the y value here, this is the vertex of the parabola. So exactly like we did in the absolute value, we have the same way of finding the vertex in a parabola. And we actually have a sort of a general form. For a parabola, this is a little bit like having a y equals mx plus b. But in this case, we have this general form, which is y equals x minus h squared plus k. And in this equation, the vertex is h comma k. So that gives us a great way to start to graph the parabola. So let's go ahead and see how we would graph this. So notice that the vertex here, it's where this equals 0, or in other words, it's the opposite sign here. So if it's x minus 1, then x equals 1 is where it equals 0. Or you can see here there's an x minus h, but the vertex happens at h. Okay, so if we know that the vertex is 1, 3, then we know that that x value is a good place to start. So when we're doing x and y values, let's put our x here and our y here. And then let's go with values around that. So let's do a 0 and a 2. So if we put in 0, we get x 0 minus 1 is 1, squared is just 1. Minus 1 is negative 1, but squared is just 1. And then plus 3 is 4. 2 minus 1 is 1, squared is 1, plus 3 is 4. And then let's go ahead and do one more on each side. So let's do a negative 1 and let's do 3. So negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2, squared is 4, plus 3 is 7. And then 3 minus 1 is 2, squared is 4, plus 3 is 7. So let's go ahead and plot these points now. So we have 1, 3, we have 0, 4, and 2, 4, negative 1, 7, and it's actually not quite where we want it to be. Negative 1, 7, and then 3, 7. Okay, so then if we want to sketch our parabola here, That's pretty terrible. Let me try that one again. That's what our parabola looks like. So in reality, a parabola is actually a lot like an absolute value. It's just a smoother version of that curve. So the absolute value makes like a hard V, but the parabola makes a similar shape, but it's a smoother version of the curve. And remember that in the equation, you can always find the vertex by looking for where this equals 0, and then for what number we go up or down to get the y value of the vertex. And that's how you graph a parabola of the form y equals x minus h squared plus k.